Let's take a couple of moments and we're going to check out the dimmer settings and the 3 different ways that you can activate the dimmer on Pioneer's DEH-X6900BT. Even though your particular in-dash receiver may or may not have a CD slot across the top like this one, the on-screen and button operation is identical for the following Pioneer models: MVH-X580BS, DEH-X6800BS, DEH-X6900BT, DEH-X7800BHS, DEH-X8800BHS. So from any source, and I'm on the AM/FM radio source right now, I'm going to touch in on the volume control, and I want to roll along here until I find the Illumination menu. Here's Illumination, and we'll press Enter. Now I want to scroll along here until I find the dimmer settings. So here's dimmer settings, so let's press Enter here. The first thing we see is synchronize the illumination, and this means to synchronize the illumination with the vehicle. And so when I switch on the vehicle's headlights, the dash lights can automatically dim when I do that, and the lights on the illumination of the head unit can also automatically dim. Now, in order for this to happen, you have to have the orange wire with the white stripe connected to the car. So it's the orange wire with the white stripe on the back of the in-dash receiver connected to the car in the proper way to get the synchronized illumination with the vehicle to operate. We'll go back into this setting here, and we'll roll over to the next setting, which is synchronized to the clock. Now, when you set the clock on the in-dash receiver, it's important to have the right time set on there so that we can synchronize the dimmer with the clock. So not every vehicle will have that orange wire with the white stripe where we can connect up and synchronize with the illumination. It might be easier to have the illumination automatically switch on and off based on the time of day. So right now this setting says that the illumination, the dimmer will switch on at 6 p.m., but maybe we want to adjust that time a little. We'll make that 8:30 p.m. is when the dimmer switches on. And we'll press in on the volume control, and the dimmer can switch off at 6 a.m. the way it's set now, but we'll make that a little earlier. Maybe we'll make it 5:30 in the morning. So 5:30 in the morning, the dimmer will switch off. And if we check that 8:30 in the evening, the dimmer will switch on. And that will happen automatically no matter what the setting is on your headlights. The next setting that we have for the dimmer is to manually switch it on. And you can see as we turn that over, the illumination, the dimmer automatically switched on. And if we roll it over again, the illumination, the dimmer has switched off. So we can switch the dimmer on. And with the dimmer switched on like this, it immediately drops the brightness of the head unit, and that may have dropped it too low. So let's check the brightness setting on the head unit to have it set up just where we want it. We're going to go back here and roll over to the next setting, which is our brightness, and press Enter. And if you can see this, brightness is set to level number 1 right now, and maybe that's too dim for me to see. So let's bring that brightness up a little bit. There's level 5. So I want the dimmer to come on at night, but maybe that was too dim, so I'm going to raise the brightness of the dimmer up to level number 5. And that's pretty good for me, so now I'm going to go back, and let's test this out just to make sure it's working pretty well. Here's my dimmer settings. Right now the dimmer is switched on. That's the dimmer switched off, and switched on again. So that seems to be working pretty well. That's a reasonable brightness for me, so we'll leave the illumination, we'll leave the dimmer switched off for right now. When you're done making your adjustments here, you can use the band button to escape.